Hey guys, today we're going all the way back to 1998 and we're looking at the first skateboarding game on the PlayStation, Street Skater. Welcome to Rad Rat Video. 3 times a week on this channel we learn something new about skateboarding, from trick histories to answering your questions on my series Ask Rad Rat to learning about classic skateboarding games like Street Skater. This game is absolutely tiny. These days, I think you could find a game with more to do on the App Store for $1, but I still think it's worth checking out for the historical aspect of it. So let's take a look at it. This game came out in Japan in October 1998 and then in spring 99 here in the US. And that would make it the first home release console skateboarding game since 1990 when Sk8er Die 2 came out. So I don't know of any skateboarding games at all in the 16-bit era, the Super Nintendo and the Genesis. There was Top Skater in the arcades in '97, but I wouldn't say that really competes with this one. I do want to take a look at that one later if I can figure out how to play it without having an actual arcade machine. I've been looking around locally, I haven't found one yet. There was also 2 Extreme in '96, but even though it has skateboards in it, I wouldn't really call it a skateboarding game.
So let's get into the game. There really isn't that much going on with it. I beat it pretty thoroughly in one day, but I had a pretty good time with it. So you have the Street Tour and Free Skate. Let's take a look at the Street Tour. It's a very short tour and it's not very street either. So you pick your character and even your outfit, sort of. You basically just get these different filters on your outfit so the colors are ever so slightly different. It's not much, but at least they put a little bit of effort into it, I guess. These characters all have slightly different stats, but it doesn't make much of a difference. You earn stats as you go and you can level them out if you want to. And you probably will want to. I tried to make characters with more extreme stats, and it never really works out that well. These guys also have their own soundtrack. I played with it turned off for copyright reasons, but there's still some pretty good 90s punk stuff in here. It's not bad, but when each character has only 4 or 5 songs, they can get pretty repetitive. But playing with the sound off, I got to enjoy the announcer a little more. He's really enthusiastic, and even though he only has a few things to say, I didn't really hate him as much as I thought I would. He's actually kind of entertaining.
Sick move! Crazy launch!
You have 3 levels here, technically 6 with the bonus stages, but not really. The way this game works is pretty confusing. The goal here is to get a high score, but you also have a timer that you have to beat. So it's kind of a race, but there aren't any other racers, and you're not really going for a fast time either. Your best bet is to just barely make that time limit and squeeze in as many tricks as you possibly can. And the actual racing isn't very exciting. You hold down circle to crouch and go a little bit faster, and you ollie with X. Square will make you slow down, but this isn't Gran Turismo here. It's not like you have to brake right before a turn and then squeeze around this corner with a perfect line, or lean in to get a little extra grip. So these parts of the level are basically wasted time. Like here. There's this bumpy gravel path you have to cut through. There's no technique to it, like in Cool Boarders 2, where there's a button to unweight so you can glide over bumps. In this one, you just ride, hit some arrow buttons to stay straight, and that's it. This is kind of a weird game design choice, and it really dates the game. Compare this to Tony Hawk. There are some downhill levels, like my favorite, Downhill Jam, and the Mall as well, but it's not like in these you have to complete the level. You can just find a spot that you like and stay skating there. But that's not how this one works. And this balance that you have to maintain is pretty annoying. You do get some bonus points for finishing a level early, but it's not nearly as much as you would get by using that time to just do tricks instead. Unfortunately, you have very little control over your tricks, both where you do them and what tricks they actually are. So the game is called Street Skater, but you're not really skating street. You're skating through these levels, but you can only do tricks on approved ramps, like the vert ramps and these kickers in the paths. So stuff like this big rock won't do anything at all if you ollie off of it. When the only goal in the level is to get a high score, then you have to maximize all of your airtime and hit every ramp the right amount of times. The score will go down for your tricks the more you skate in the same area, but since there are only a few different places to do tricks, it can take a little bit of planning. But it's not just the location of the tricks you can't control, it's also the tricks themselves you can't really control either. The first few times I played through the game, I didn't even know that you could affect the tricks at all. It seems like you just hit X at the lip and then something happens. Later, I read through the manual, and apparently if you hit different directions in the air, you'll do different tricks. But it only seems like you kind of help affect what you do instead of actually doing it. It might be hard to tell from the footage, but I'm not really doing anything here. Basically, everything is a special trick, and every character has their own set of tricks. The game brags about there being 200 tricks in the game, but I think it's counting switch tricks separately, because there really aren't that many. Let's take a look at some of these. You've got stuff like backside 180, frontside 180, and 180 tail grab. These are lower level tricks, as you can see here on the screen. I played through this game a bunch of times, and I really can't explain what this means and how it works. The first time you play through a game, you can only do tricks up to a certain level, but it goes up the second time through. The higher level stuff gets pretty intense, like McTwists. This is actually the opposite of a McTwist though. It's frontside and is inverted forward like a front flip, but at least most of the stuff in this game is pretty accurate. You've got nose grinds and K grinds, 720 shove it to nose bone, frontside 360 late backside 360, which is physically impossible, and then there are all the crazy spins and the multiple flips. The grab names are actually pretty good. So all in all, I'm not too offended by any of the trick names in this game, I just wish I was allowed to actually control them. The monkey has some crazier stuff, but he's a monkey, so it's cool. He's got this crazy 720 alpha flip thing, and he can also put his skateboard right through his own head. But the thing about these tricks is that you can't even bail them. If you ollie and you do a trick, you're guaranteed to land it. You won't land sideways or under flipped or anything, but this is fine. Since you can't really control the tricks that much, it would really suck if you bailed them. Each time you beat a level, you get the chance to go to a bonus level. There's a big air event, vert, and pool. The big air is just about getting the highest single air that you can, and it's about 98% dependent on your stats, with maybe 2% timing. Vert and pool mode are basically the same thing. You just ollie and tricks will happen. In all of these events, you're scored and given some extra time on the next level. That helps you spend that extra time in the right areas to get more points in that next level. It really helps a lot.
3, 2, 1,
You beat the third level, and it's over. The first time you win, you'll get some new pathways. So there are these gates in the level, and they'll open up, and you'll get extra shortcuts and things like that. They aren't all very helpful though. This one that you get basically just goes around the entire halfpipe area, so you get to the end really fast. Since there isn't much of a bonus for ending fast, there's no reason to ever go this way. If you look up strategies online, some people have spent a lot of time trying to figure out the perfect routes and what to grind when and all that kind of stuff, and it might help to experiment a little bit on occasion, because there were some times when I was playing that I got stuck for a while and I just couldn't get enough points. The second time you play through, the goals will go up, so it can get pretty tough. But I got through it without going too crazy with strategy. When you beat the street tour again, you get the secret characters like the monkey. Most of these are just more generic characters. There's no reason to care about these guys. It's not like they're based on anything or they have amazing stats, they just play like everybody else. If you beat the game a third time, the game tells you you're the greatest skater. How sweet. Beating the game with secret characters unlocks more decks, including ones by Powell, and you get mirrored levels and different times of the day. With the gate changes too, these levels can feel pretty different. But you only really get to control these options in free skate mode. It's cool, but there's just not much motivation to do that very much. One thing you'll notice as you play is that the difficulty of these levels varies by a lot. The first and the third courses are the hardest, and the middle one is really easy. This one has a ramp that's actually impossible to skate. Even though there's a similar one that you can do tricks off of no problem, this one just makes you bail instantly. You have to just stop and kind of turn around at the top. Also, sometimes your tricks just don't work. It doesn't happen very often, and it's probably the awkward control. You know, you have to hold circle as you ride and then let go of it and hit X at the same time. Maybe I just screw it up sometimes, but it seems like I ollie and then I just don't do a trick. And that sucks because missing one ramp can ruin your score. But honestly, even with all of these issues, it's still pretty fun. I know it's not really a good game these days, but I think a lot of old stuff from this era has a lot of charm. It's fun to see what they came up with and how this led into the games that we got later.
Street Skater was really influential, and I think we as skateboarders owe this game a lot. Even if you weren't skating back then or you never even heard of the game, here's the thing. If you've seen the trailer for Pretending I'm a Superman, you'll see some early footage and some interviews of the first Tony Hawk game. And in development, it sounded a lot like Street Skater. They talk about how you have to race through the level to get to a skate park at the bottom, And that's basically the same as this game. Although in this one, the spots are kind of spread out throughout the level, but it's still based around that racing mindset, like you have to get to the end. So it kind of sounds like Tony Hawk started out as a Street Skater clone. Maybe they even gained the confidence to even bother making that after seeing EA do it first. Luckily, they realized in development that the skate park stuff is what people were actually drawn to, and they were playing that a lot more than the racing stuff. And so they were able to distill out all of that and just turn it into what we know of as Tony Hawk 1. And then of course that led to millions of people picking up a skateboard, including me with Tony Hawk 2. So a lot of us were indirectly influenced by this game, and because of that historical significance, I think it's cool to have in the collection, especially since it's only about $3 anyway. And it's a good way to kill an afternoon. You aren't gonna get that much more out of it than that though. Also, if you're in Europe, it's downloadable on the PlayStation Network, and you guys over there actually spell it correctly without the 8. I think spelling Sk8er with an 8 was still cool here over there, but over there you got it right. After that, there was a sequel, Street Skater 2, and I reviewed this one as one of the very first videos on this channel, so check it out if you want, but the audio quality is not great. I've come a long way since then. But in general, this game plays pretty much the same, but the levels are a bit longer, there's a little bit more going on, and you actually have more control over what tricks you're doing. So it's a nice upgrade, but it's still really out of date these days. But if you're really bored of the Tony Hawk games and you love original PlayStation stuff too, then you might as well grab this one as well. I think this set me back about $4. So if you've played these games before, let me know what you think about them in the comments. And if you know about any other skateboarding games from this time period that I've missed so far, I'd like to hear about those too. I don't think there were any on the Saturn or the 3DO, but I could be wrong, so let me know about that in the comments. Until next time, here are some more videos I've done recently that you might want to check out. And don't forget to subscribe by tapping my logo on screen right here so you don't miss out on any game reviews in the future. Thanks for watching.